Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the TI4 Qualifiers, powered by Monster Energy. We've got our next game of today. It's Zephyr versus Mineski. I had to go peek at the team names over there. Yeah. Who are we watching? Yeah, we've had a lot of games. They just fly by. We've got, just finished NA. Now we're already in SEA. We're already, 3 games in.
Mm-hmm.
Predictions, Ben. Zephyr, Mineski. This is going to be probably... We've seen a couple Throw Fests already throughout. Are we getting for another
I'll say
Throw
Zephyr.
Fest? Okay.
Yeah.
Easily?
No, they were my dark horse to kind of make it in the top 4.
Yeah.
Not easily. I don't think they'll win any game that easily. Most of the teams in the tournament are pretty evenly matched compared to North American. You have Liquid and Gnar, who are your top tier. You have Stun, who's kind of there, and then everyone else is they're from South America. They're
everyone else is they're from South America. What? And SEA, it's they're from Thailand. Oh, they're from Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore.
Yeah. They're just from different
Indonesia.
places.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah. Predictions. Zephyr, you Mineski, you too.
I don't want to agree with everyone, but
you have to agree with one of us.
I think Zephyr.
Okay, I'm gonna go Mineski as well. I'm gonna go Mineski.
There you go.
Okay,
Sweet.
so we got 2 and 2.
What about you? You said
Zephyr.
He's got Zephyr. Okay.
Yeah, I like Mineski. I haven't actually seen any of their big core heroes yet.
And the draft has begun. Go.
We gotta go.
All right. Whoa. Holy Toledo, this draft.
We're here.
All right, so here we are. Zyorian base kip taking over. We've got Zephyr versus Mineski. Zephyr will be on the Dire. They grab Sand King, Wraith King with their first 2 pickups. The King duo here, base kip. Mineski get themselves the Ancient Apparition as well as the Nyx Assassin.
Here we got the 2 Kings. Looks like Zephyr Dodo are going to be running core Wraith King this game, given that Sand King and Jakiro have been picked up. Sand King not really running a core role anymore in the slightest. We get the first pick Ancient Apparition out of Mineski, so something that I said was going to be more of a thing over here in SEA than it was in NA, and looks like that is going to be the case here for Mineski. They also get the nice pairing going on with the Weaver, and again, we can use the fact that we've got Ancient Apparition and Rubik picked up to say that the Nyx Assassin is going to probably end up being a core here. And the Nyx Assassin is going to be a really nice pick to have against that Wraith King. So I think Mineski looking pretty good. They've also got that Ancient Apparition Weaver synergy going on. Mad Chilling Touch procs with Gemini Attack.
Yeah, absolutely. And all 4 of the heroes on the side of Zephyr are heroes they've been running quite a bit recently. I was checking out some of their recent match histories. They've been running a lot of Jakiro, Darkseer here and there, and also a lot of Sand King. Now, the Wraith King pick is interesting for their second choice because they're one of few teams that truly run him as a support as well as a carry. Some teams favor one or the other, but few really do both. And they are one such team, which makes him more of a value pick early on because it's hard to read. But like you said, will probably be their position 1 here. Final bans will come out, and it's a Storm Spirit final ban for Zephyr and Shadow Fiend taken off the field by Mineski.
Yeah, this is a crazy good Rubik game. We're talking Burrow Strike, all of Jakiro's spells. You throw a spell steal on Jakiro, you are never upset with what comes back. It's always going to be something good. So Jakiro is basically just a freebie this game. Wraith King as well. You always know what you're going to get. You're always going to get Wraithfire Blast. It's an amazing ability. So I'm really hoping for some big plays coming out of the Rubik here.
Yeah.
And
we were just talking the other day about what's the best ability for Rubik to steal that isn't an ultimate, and there were some of the members of the couch throwing out Burrow Strike as one of the possibilities. So definitely a lot of abilities and just a lot of crowd controls as well. With Dragon Knight as that final pick from Zephyr, even more spells for Rubik to steal.
Yeah, and so Zephyr augment things a little bit here with the Dragon Knight pick, but you look at the other heroes on their lineup and it's just really clear what the plan is. They have huge AoE team fight. It's pretty deathball-y. There's not a whole lot of split push. The game plan is probably just get maybe Midas Blink on the Wraith King, get your mech up on the Darkseer, get whatever initial item you're going to get on the Dragon Knight, depending on how the game plays out, either BKB or Shadowblade, and then just look to start moving around and setting things up.
Yeah.
And for Mineski, they don't really have anybody frontline just yet, so that could be consideration as far as this last pick is concerned.
I worry a little bit about this mid game for Mineski. As you mentioned, the Death Ball from Zephyr will be pretty potent, and they have an okay roster to deal with it. Ice Blast is really good in terms of defensive capabilities when a team is pushing into your towers, especially if it's a Death Ball, because, well, it makes it easy to connect with that Ice Blast. But Ancient Apparition takes a little bit of time to come online, especially just the level 1 Ice Blast it helps, but isn't particularly scary. And Weaver as well. He needs a little bit of time to come online, and they just don't have a great front liner. Sure, Nyx can initiate onto someone with Vendetta, but he can't really take a lot of damage.
Yeah. I'm curious. If Mineski didn't have the Nyx Assassin, then I would probably throw out a name like Tide, perhaps as one of their options here. But yeah, given that they have the Nyx Assassin, probably not looking for the double initiators. Here, and then trying to have the Weaver do all of the carrying. Just going back to the Wraith King pick, I think it's a little bit unusual from Zephyr. Like you said, teams do like to keep their options open as far as their early picks are concerned, and knowing that you're comfortable running the hero in 2 different roles is a little bit of a boon in terms of taking it early on. But it doesn't really feel like it's a strong reaction pick to anything. The big reason that we started seeing Wraith King become quite popular was because of the rise of Doom, and he was just a carry that didn't care about getting doomed at all. But Mineski, they take Doom anyway.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Okay.
I
mean, it's frontliney.
Yeah, that's true.
So
does solve that problem. And, well, some more lockdown, but not a lot of AoE.
Yeah, they got to Doom the Darkseer.
Yeah, definitely. And the mid-game team fight for Mineski is just a little bit lacking, and even having an early mech on the Darkseer, like you said, that Doom might take it out of the equation, but it'll be a little bit more tricky for Mineski to farm up with that early mech, unless Doom is the one to go for it, and I think that would probably be a good choice. Now, how are they going to lane this? I suppose it'll be Doom mid, safe lane Weaver with the Tri, and then Nyx in the off lane, though they could perhaps try to do an aggressive Tri lane. Since they have 3 ranged heroes, you mentioned the synergy between Weaver and Ancient Apparition, there is potential for a scary tri-lane if they were
10 seconds
so interested in doing that.
Yeah, Doom is actually a very reasonable 1v1 against Darkseer. He's got quite a bit of HP regen just overall between, with his Scorched Earth. And also you can occasionally devour an Ion Shelled creep, so a little bit of help there. If you get really lucky and you start off the game in the jungle and you find a Satyr, then it's an extremely easy lane. So could be a strong option here for Mineski. Of course, the other possible configuration is just running Nyx off lane, Doom mid, and Weaver in the safe lane, and it looks like that is going to be the choice from them here. Well. Something else that I'll bring up is the Weaver is actually a really good 1v1 mid against Dragon Knight, though we don't really see it at all. But Zephyr, 5-man smoke to start things off.
Yeah, for sure. And while we're watching them roam through the jungle, we can introduce these rosters here. On the side of Zephyr, we've got Corey playing on the position 1 Wraith King. Blitz will be on the Dragon Knight headed to the mid. Purge playing on the support Jakiro. Sexy Bambo on the offlane Darkseer. And it will be Aosin playing on the support Sand King. They'll put down an observer right outside of the pole camp. They'll get down a sentry ward here as well. ASXC on the Weaver will be inbound, but they won't stop those wards from coming about as we see some doodling about the minimap.
Yeah, so Mineski know that Zephyr just made their way down here as 5 and that they placed a couple of wards. But Zephyr's warding is actually pretty smart. This ward over here, to the observer ward in the camp, is actually just out of range of most of the standard sentry locations. There's like one standard sentry location, which is just here underneath this pointy tree, and there's another one that's just down here, but this observer ward kind of avoids it. And then they've also not quite placed Magic Bush, but I think they should still block the big camp over here. So it's going to look like Magic Bush because these 2 camps are blocked out, and that might trick Mineski a little bit here.
Very cheeky. You want to take point on introducing Mineski here, basically?
Yep. So very quickly over on Mineski, starting in the offlane, we're going to have Jesse Vosh handling the Nyx Assassin. Heading towards mid, Jay is going to be on the Doom. We've got Oa handling the Rubik, Geo on the Ancient Apparition, and the more recent addition to the team is going to be Paseo on the Weaver as they go in on Sexy Bambo here.
Yeah, he's in a little bit of trouble. That Chilling Touch does so much damage early on. They'll take him down. That's your first blood. Oa picks it up on the Rubik. Easy kill onto Sexy Bambo. And not an aggressive tri-lane, but still a potent defensive tri-lane as well.
Zephyr they had so much setup for this Darkseer. They came down, they placed a ward for him that spots the supports and blocks the camp. All he needed to do was just wait at the tower, and like level 2 would have been his, absolutely guaranteed. But Sexy Bambo is going to end up playing some Bambo Doto and feeding the first blood away.
So
there.
we'll see Mineski throw down a couple of wards here. They will put down a sentry to counter this sentry that was put down. Still, the original Observer is standing, and they'll also put down a Radiant Observer right in the lane here. So they really want to make this Darkseer's life difficult, and they will not give him any room to breathe. Already, Ancient Apparition looking for another wraparound, double Ion Shell out, but they'll come straight in. No Chilling Touch on quite yet. They want that Ruby to get in range. He will be able to surge himself, but there's your Telekinesis back, and the right clicks shall commence. Sexy Bambo. Oh, boy, this is a disaster here, Base Skip. I think he needs to just move into the jungle and stop the feeds.
Well, I would say that, and I agree that he does need to go into the jungle, but he just bought boots.
Ooh.
So no Soul Ring for him for a little while. So I think this is definitely not the start that Bambo is hoping for. Looks like Eosin's going to try and set up a little stack here, but he does end up missing it, so not ideal from him there, and a really rough start for Zephyr overall. But Darkseer is going to be able to head into the jungle, start recovering a little bit, though that does mean, as we said, less space for the Sand King to use.
Well, let's take a look at these other lanes here. In the top, the Nyx Assassin, 0-0 in CS, actually completely zoned out, doesn't have a single bit of experience. That is rough. Really, both offlaners struggling. Of course, the Darkseer dying twice puts him at a further disadvantage, but Nyx not too much better off. Rubik did grab himself a Haste Rune, but not much will come of it. Doom in the mid lane, 10-3 against the 14-1 Dragon Knight. Relatively even, of course. DK slightly ahead. That bottle crowing, breathe fire spam, a little bit difficult to deal with in terms of slowing down his CS, but Doom getting decent farm himself, and that's kind of what's important here for Mineski.
Yeah, it's a real farm trade, this mid lane. We might see a little bit of rotation in from either side. We saw Mineski, since the Darkseer is no longer at bottom lane, they tried to make a rotation mid, while it would be a little bit less obvious, but Blitz not going to be caught at that time. So it does end up being a little bit of wasted time for the Mineski supports, but they've had such a great early game so far that I don't think they're going to be too worried about it. And look at the gold on this Weaver. 1,500 up, 3.5 minutes into this game.
Wow, that is pretty darn scary. A good start for him. He didn't get the first blood, but he did actually get that second kill, which puts him 1-0-1. And now Sand King will actually come down to the bottom lane. So Eosin TP's in. He is only level 2 right now, and doesn't have too much to his name, so he'll try and just leave some XP as the creeps do shove towards the tower. The pole camp is still blocked from that initial Observer, so he will at least be able to find a little bit of experience in lane and give Darkseer a free roam of the jungle. Jakiro, 2 points in the Liquid Fire to get things started, and 1 point in Ice Path. This seems to be the pretty popular Jakiro build here. Liquid Fire seems to be the way to go.
Yeah, it's really, really nice for zoning out offlaners, and it's by far your most useful ability if you feel like a big feature of your lane is going to be taking down the opposing tier 1 tower pretty quickly. And between, it doesn't look like the most amazing pushing lane, but between picking up a casual point in Vampiric Aura when they're ready to push and this Liquid Fire, should be a pretty easy tier 1, so long as there's even a small amount of space created somewhere else on the map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but all in all, a fairly quiet early game here, aside from those initial kills and the dire off lane. Things looking pretty even. Everyone happy to just sit back and farm. No one level 6 quite yet. And Nyx Assassin, I think he's still getting zoned out pretty hard. He's only level 2. I don't think he has much in the way of CS. Yeah, he's picked up 1 last hit. So the Mineski offlaner still struggling quite a bit. He's picked up boots. Now the push comes into his tower. Throws out an Impale. But they do have a siege creep. He'll pull the aggro off the tower. Well, Liquid Fire will still do a fair bit of damage, and even just Jakiro and Dragon Knight are on the same team. So much pushing power, and they can just do this chip damage to these towers, and it will eventually fall. No Treant armor, no way to stop them from slow sieging these initial tier 1s down. Whoa, early Midas on the
5
Weaver.
minutes.
That's pretty speedy.
Yeah, that's really speedy. The one problem for Mineski right now, the mind game warding that we pointed out at the start of the game from Zephyr has resulted in this pole camp still being blocked out. Mm-hmm. And had this pole camp not been blocked, I think they could have already taken the tier 1. They could have gone, they could have doubled up the wave. Right as the first siege creep spawned, they could have picked up a Bassi on the Weaver and actually committed to the push. But what we saw, that sort of half-hearted push from them, was just them losing control of the equilibrium. They weren't really taking a shot there. At the tower, but the support's going to try and find something else to accomplish, so O and Gia are going to head off looking for a smoke here.
Yeah, they smoke, and it appears they're headed towards the mid lane. They will grab something off the courier here as they rotate through. Looks like both of them just pick up their boots and fresh set of wards. Dragon Knight won't be the easiest gank, but Doom does have his ultimate available, as well as the pack leader's aura. So he's hitting hard, has that crit. Nyx camping out a double damage rune at the top position. He'll actually ping it out, and maybe that will make this kill possible. Blitz, pretty good positioning here. Creep's coming up to the top of his hill. He does have his bottle on the way. So still just not an easy gank. 1 point in Dragon's Blood, but has the ultimate available as well.
Well, the pack leader's aura kind of sucks here because it means that the creep wave is actually pushing into the tower, when normally if the Dragon Knight was spamming Breathe Fire, he would be in a slightly more exposed position. But no, Blitz just going to be pretty safe. The creep wave comes in, he bounces it out, and he knows that the supports are missing, so he's just going to hug the tower right now. Looks like he's going to be okay.
The Radiant do put a ward down right in the middle of that lane, so they may not commit to it now, but they'll come back later and try and give DK a run for his money. But uh-oh, Blitz leaves the lane. They find Rubik. There's your Dragon Tail. Elder Dragon form popped as well. Oa taking pretty heavy damage. Breathe Fire is plenty to bring him down, and Zephyr will get their first kill of the game on the board here at the 7-minute mark.
Yeah, these two Mineski supports are just not having the best time. I wonder... And this is just wondering, I wonder if they could have considered maybe roaming all the way up to the top lane. It's by far the less expected gank instead of heading towards mid, and as a result might have been a little bit more successful, though of course they would have had to gone for it before the Wraith King hit level 6, so not really an option anymore. But they're just really struggling to find something to do. They are going to head down bottom lane and look for this kill on Eosin.
Yeah, and they may find it here. There's more than enough to bring him down. Telekinesis. Fade Bolt and a couple of right clicks. Eosin will take a spill. That makes it 3-1 here, but Doom has picked up a Midas, so that's a double Midas for Mineski. One on the Weaver, one on the Doom, and they have plenty of farming tools, which seems good on paper, but I worry. We talked about that mid-game death ball for Zephyr, and even though Midas will give them a farming edge, it extends that window where Mineski don't have a good bang for their buck. They don't have a lot of that investment paying off into those mid-game items where they're really going to need it. So if they can survive that mid-game once Zephyr group up, more power to you. I think these Midases will work out well, but could end up working against them depending on how early Zephyr turn up the heat and get aggressive base kip.
Yeah, Zephyr, the big thing for them now is seeing these Midases. They know that they have to try and punish it. Corey just picking up some more early game items. He's got some treads, he's got his wand picked up. So it looks like the focus for him is not going to be Midas or anything like that. Eosin, that death on the bottom lane ends up being pretty costly. And the fact that he got forced out of his own jungle by Bambo means that this Blink Dagger is not looking very timely in the slightest.
8.5 minutes, and he only has 250 gold to his name with brown boots. That's really slow for this Sand King. And how's old Darkseer doing? Looks like he's found some decent recovery. Middle of the pack in net worth, about 2,500 gold. Finally level 6, well on his way to a mech. Has both pieces with 400 in savings. So that is good news. He'll stack up the hard camp once again here. Some Wild Wing Rippers, as well as some Dark Trolls here joining the party. Not bad, but it's all about trade-offs, and things would be looking really good for Zephyr if that Darkseer could have stayed in lane, but I think a necessary adjustment. It appears Zephyr may want to try and pressure the top tower, but no, maybe not. They will just back off. Jesse Vosh has finally found some recovery farm. He is just about to hit level 6, yeah, halfway through 5. So, well, Vendetta is that first roadblock there for Nyx Assassin.
Yeah, and he just started doing a little bit better again once the Sand King left the lane. He went bottom, but he just didn't really get any CS, and Eosin looks like he feels that Blink Dagger isn't even necessarily on the cards right now. He's just picking up some smokes, so he's not giving all of the support duty to the Jakiro, and that's going to slow him down even that little bit further. And I really like the fact that Blitz is going for the Shadow Blade here, both because the Sand King is going to have a very slow Blink Dagger and they need somebody to start off these fights, and because the Wraith King is also seemingly not going for a Blink. Corey has just picked up a drum for himself here. So he has some nice early game items. I like the drum choice because he does need a little bit of extra mana pool up against the mana burn from the Nyx Assassin just for his ultimate to actually be valuable. But it means we're not going to be seeing your blinking and stunning Wraith King. That's become almost a staple at the moment, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I think Blink, or at the very least a Force Staff, some sort of positioning tool on the Wraith King is completely necessary. The additional movement speed from drums does help, but still doesn't really replace a Blink Dagger. The Nyx Assassin mana burn is annoying, but not particularly great against Wraith King because he's a relatively low int hero. So the mana burns will be annoying, but won't totally cripple him. Only 1 point in the mana burn right now as well, so Corey is just fine tanking through it. but we'll see. The nice thing about Wraith King is you can get that magic wand, and if you really need to, a soul ring, and you can pretty much always get that ultimate off. He's got the wand complete already, so you just pull up those charges, and if you're low on mana, pop it right before you die, and as long as they don't have a diffusal, you should be able to get off your reincarnate.
And Blitz is just afraid mid. He got the creep waves to push into the tower. He had a siege creep available. He had his ultimate available as well. But the fact that the two Mineski supports are off the map is going to give him pause, and that's just going to slow things down that little bit further. And I really worry about the pace of the game for Zephyr. We're heading towards 12 minutes in. The Midas is already starting to look like a really worthwhile investment for Mineski. And we've just hit this mech timing, and Zephyr haven't really done anything with it. They're going to try for this Sand King gank with the Ion Shell. We'll see if it's going to be successful, however.
Yeah, this could work out. Do they have detection? I don't see any on the Sand King. Maybe Darkseer has some. No, I don't know how they'll kill this Weaver without detection. They certainly don't have the burst damage to bring him down, especially dealing with time-lapse. Doom level 11 now rotating in. He's got a mech up as well. I like this build from Jay, especially with the phase boots, has the movement speed, and just overall really smart. Mech versus no mech is so bad when you're on the defending team and they're knocking down your towers. You just can't take the team fights. You need a mech to counteract that heal. So I like this, and makes things for Zephyr a little more difficult.
Yeah, when you do well in the early game as Doom and you go for Midas mech, you're almost completely hedging your bets. If you straight rush the mech and things go badly and you don't start winning fights, then the Doom can feel like a non-factor. Yeah, Sexy Bambo
initiates right on Bambo. Wow, gets a 350 crit to start things off. Weaver coming in off the mark with the Scarabs, but it doesn't matter. Doom's just going to chase him down. He gets Ice Balled, or Ice Path rather, but it doesn't matter. Sexy Bambo falls. Now Jay, he's on the run, still rather tanky. Corey coming in, and Aosin looking for a Burrow Strike as well. Will connect. There's your Wraithfire Blast, and even Blitz joining the party. They will be able to punish this Doom for his overcommitment. Even an Epicenter burn. Blitz gets the last hit. Still a decent trade for Mineski. A solo kill for the Doom, and that experience split 3 ways for Zephyr.
Yeah, Zephyr brought everybody in to get that kill, and now they're all just going to walk back to their lanes. So it does help complete the Shadow Blade on the Dragon Knight, but again, Mineski, they've got the Midases. They don't mind distracting Zephyr from the actual objective, which is 5-manning and taking down towers. So they'll trade 1-for-1 quite happily for the next 20-25 minutes until they're just going to win the late game. And to finish that thought about the mech on the Doom, it's just, even if they don't take a single team fight for the next 20 minutes, it just does not matter. He's got Midas, he's got Devour. If he needs to sell the mech in 30 minutes time, well, he's just going to chalk that up as a win. He's going to say, well, we outlasted the part of the game that was scariest for us. I bought an item that could have potentially been useful, didn't need it, but no skin off my back, really.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, with all those farming tools, it's not the biggest investment. Purge just barely jukes the Ice Blast up top. I don't think it would have been enough for him to shatter, but he would have definitely had to fly back home there on the Twin-Headed Dragon. We see Doom stalking him out. There is a dire Sentry Ward down here, and this could backfire for the Doom, but luckily for him, all of the forces of Zephyr are focused down bottom, or at least 3 of them. Blitz with that shiny new Shadow Blade moving around in the bottom looking for an opening, but won't find anyone. Weaver will just retreat into jungle and go back to farming. So both sides doing a good job dodging engagements. Just as I say that, Purge walks a little too far forward. Jay doesn't even need the ultimate here, just straight chops him down. Nyx Assassin will finish him off with a mana burn, but this Doom is just running amok here, Base Skip. He's been holding on to
Aosin mid,
the crit early on. Aosin on the run. Will they dive this? Yeah, they sure will. Weaver's got a couple charges of that Chilling Touch online, and alright, never mind. They won't commit for it. Looks like it could be some tower tier 1 exchanging down bottom. Zephyr hitting that tier 1 pretty quickly with the corrosive breath. It will certainly fall. Their top tier 1 has already gone down. So it will be a tower for tower exchange, which again, I think it benefits Mineski. They're the team that doesn't have the scary pushing lineup relative to Zephyr. So yeah, holding on to a nice 3,500 gold lead. Pretty solid.
Yeah, I think if Mineski had 2 TPs available and the Ancient Apparition had his ultimate up, they probably could have defended that, but just a smart call from them to realize, look, if we TP in one person, they're just going to die and go down with the tower, so we'll just take the trade, take it at face value, and go back to doing our own thing. Where Zephyr are just not at a pace to end this game in 30 minutes.
Blink Dagger up on the Nyx Assassin, finds the initiation onto Blitz. He'll also get doomed, and now the fight will break out. He'll be the first to fall. Sand King gets picked off as well. An easy 2-0 for Mineski, and they'll dive it onto Purge. He's got the chilling or the Ice Blast on him, and yeah, Chilling Touch will be enough to take him down. An easy 3-0 in the mid lane, and all of a sudden, Zephyr looking to be in big trouble here, base kid.
Yeah, this is not looking very good for Zephyr. This is the part of the game, and this is the aspect of the game, mid-game team fights, that Zephyr, in theory, looking at their lineup, are supposed to be winning, and they're not. The two Midases have more than paid for themselves, and Mineski are just kind of walking over Zephyr right now. And I don't know what else Zephyr could do. That their lineup only really has one angle of attack. There's a bit of an opportunity to maybe sneak into Roshan and get that recovery Rosh going on, but I don't know if that's going to get them back on track.
Yeah, and it's just so risky. They're almost at that point where you have to do some sort of a crazy risky play to try and get back into this game, but the supports are just so poor. Sand King is still nowhere near his Blink Dagger, and they need that. They need the initiation power, and frankly, they just need the damage of a Sand King that's highly leveled. They needed to not lose that off lane so hard, and I really thought Darkseer would have a slightly better time. A rough tri lane to go up against, but needed to just be a little more conservative for that first initial death. Weaver close to his Linken's. Nope, actually has it as it's on the courier. So Weaver still hasn't even really come online yet. That's the scary thing. Now he has his first defensive item, but I reckon he'll just go straight Desolator or Crit or some big hard-hitting item next, and Zephyr just don't have anything to deal with that.
Yeah, I think Desolator probably just the ideal pickup here. You shred the Dragon Knight, no problem. Really helps you bring down the Wraith King that little bit faster as well. So more than likely, and just with the pace of the way that things are going right now for Mineski, picking up the Desolator, I think they can probably maybe close out the game right after they finish that one up. And this Blink Dagger on the Sand King is just taking an eternity. We're almost 18 minutes into the game and only 1,600 gold.
Yeah, that's not even that much. So getting close. I shouldn't have said nowhere close. He's getting close, but for 17 minutes, you really have wanted to have that maybe 9 minutes ago in more of an ideal scenario. Bottom tier 1 tower will actually get finished off by the Weaver. Deny is not successful from Zephyr. So Mineski now, pretty big tower advantage, 3-2, and it's only one tower, but I say pretty big because they're not the team with the pushing lineup. A solid 7,000 gold lead, as well as a 5,000 experience lead secured for Mineski.
Yeah, and Jay has decided, okay, I got the value mech. Now I'm gonna start buying like 4 items at once.
The saddest Mineski fan. They flashed to LD wearing his Mineski jersey at the couch by himself with a very unfortunate, sad look on his face.
Oh man. Yeah, come on, LD. Things are going just fine.
Yeah, maybe it's he's torn his internal struggle. He wants to be a Zephyr fan, but Mineski just dominating.
Okay, so a BKB up for Corey. This is another kind of timing.
Ice Blast off the mark, but meanwhile in the mid lane, Jay gets initiated upon, has a mech. Jesse Bosch taking down Aosin, back to the mid lane. Doom will take a spill, gets the ultimate off onto the DK before he goes down. And Weaver trying to pursue it, will get slowed up a little bit, but he will maybe secure this kill. Time lapse back, the mech picks up the Dragon Knight, and he will survive. The Ancient Apparition gets pick off around the backside as Corey goes in. Now Jesse Bosch comes forward. That's a double kill for him as he finishes off the Dragon Knight. It is a 2-for-2 exchange, a break even, and again favoring Mineski. Weaver getting a little aggressive here. Another Sentry Ward comes down, but he will be able to Shikuchi back to safety. Sentry's down like crazy for both sides. Uh-oh, Sexy Bambo gets telekinesed, but he will surge back.
Yeah, and I think you summarized it perfectly, that it's just another kind of even trade, and that's just not what Zephyr want to be looking for at all right now. And Corey, he's not on a hero to drag this game back either. Wraith King not necessarily the most impressive farmer. He's got this BKB up again. That needs to be another big timing in terms of turning the tide of this game, and it's not happening.
I mean, I think of Wraith King as a really good early fighter because Wraithfire Blast is just so good. It does a lot of damage in the 2 seconds so afterwards. That's why I like Blink first or Blink very early on Wraith King, because it lets you utilize your early fighting power, especially once you hit level 6. Get in the front line, use that ultimate and be aggressive. Instead, he sat back and not going for BKB first. Sure, it'll help him survive, but they need carry power. They need damage, and I don't know. I have trouble just agreeing with this item setup from the Wraith King here.
Well, his build has just been so influenced by the Nyx Assassin. Like, I feel that if he'd gone for, say, Brown Boots, Midas, Blink, which is not out of the question in a lot of games, then there's a chance
have a lot of room to farm up top.
Yeah.
They did a double Midas. They weren't putting any pressure onto
yeah.
onto the
I
Wraith.
think if he'd gone that build, he might have just blinked in, dropped one stun, got mana burned, and then, you know, not necessarily done his job as far as this game is concerned. So he gets forced into a slightly alternative build, which is, you know, making him look like not that impressive as far as carries go. And well, Zephyr, they get things going a little bit better for themselves now. They come into this tier 1 tower mid, and Glyph's going to be used, but I don't know if this is going to be that great for Zephyr. We'll have to see.
Forcing out the Glyph isn't so bad. The tower will go down, but now Mineski, they want to take a fight. They throw the ultimate out onto the Dragon Knight to get things started. A big vacuum into Epicenter Burrow Strike, and now Zephyr finding some momentum. The mech pop by Doom, but it's not enough to keep him alive. It's a 1-for-2 as they finish off the Sand King. Weaver in full defensive mode, and Zephyr finally coming online, taking a convincing fight. A 2-for-1, and they get the tower.
Yeah, the Blink Dagger finally up on the Sand King, finally doing some work, and Paseo?
Weaver, no, he'll be able to Shikuchi out. That Lincoln's coming in handy. They throw down a sentry, but a little bit too late. He's already made it into the clear.
Yeah, so a little bit of something going well for Zephyr there. Some really nice teamfight coordination between Bambo and Eosin sets that one up.
It's amazing what the Sand King can do with the Blink Dagger.
Yeah.
If only he had that 10
Who would have
minutes
thought?
Yeah, if only he had more farm priority, maybe they could have taken some team fights like that earlier on in the mid game. And now that's a little bit of momentum, but it just makes a small dent in the gold graph. Look at the net worth, and Weaver as well as Doom still farming at the top. And yeah, a little dent, still a 5,000 gold lead for Mineski.
Yeah, had Doom, I guess Doom only just completed his BKB, he still has his 10-second charge available, so I think had the Doom had his BKB available, he probably could have just straight manned up there, but unfortunately, it looks like it wasn't ready, and
Blitz gets caught out by Jesse Bosch. The level death flies as well. That's enough for the shatter. Ice Splash just barely clips him, but he will go down. Mineski get another kill up on the board. That makes it 12-6. Here at the 22-minute mark, and they're just farming all over the place. They still have these hands of Midas, and they have more than kicked in. BKB up on Doom, still hanging on to that casual plate mail for now. Will probably find himself a Shiva's. And Nyx Assassin looking for either a Force Staff or a Dagon following that Blink Dagger. Just sitting, does have the Null Talisman, so could be a Dagon, but could also just be a casual Null Talisman. There is a gem up on the Darkseer, though. So now Zephyr a little bit more eager to fight, and might actually be able to lock down that Weaver.
yeah, the problem for Zephyr is if they lose a single team fight at this point, I think that might be it, especially if they lose the gem on the Darkseer. This is a really big investment as far as map control is concerned, and just trying to get some momentum going to start taking down these tier 2 towers, but
yeah.
Well, yeah, I think things are still pretty tenuous for Zephyr. Corey's now got a slightly better farming item up, does have the Maelstrom complete. Obviously Mjolnir, really nice to throw on yourself when you're just Ramboing in as the Wraith King, so I think a nice choice, but again, initiation is just going to be so important, and Mineski are dragging them around the map right now, just from lane to lane.
Yeah, completely agreed, though now they'll find out Jay, and he pops his BKB straight up. Oh, wow, just obliterates the Sand King, dooms him and just chops him down. Now he says, hell, I'm just going to TP out of here. Jesse Vosh might not be so lucky, though. He gets vacuumed, Wraithfire blasted, fire gets breathed upon him, and he will fall. It's a 1-for-1, Nyx Assassin for Sand King, but that Doom, man, he is getting scary. That was a pretty big crit.
Yeah, I don't know what the Doom being popped there was. I think just a little bit of straight panic out of Jay, and then he realized, oh, I can hit this guy, and he'll die.
Chop him down,
yeah. So,
oh, man.
Well, the Doom's on cooldown, but unfortunately it looks like Zephyr aren't really going to be able to do anything in the interim. They're just kind of dealing with the lanes. The split push from the Weaver is become pretty formidable, and it's only going to get stronger now that the Desolator is completed.
Yeah, exactly right. The Desolator is huge on Weaver. Such a scary item, and to have Lincoln's Desolator power treads at the 25-minute mark, that's a pretty fat Weaver. About 14, just about to break 14k on net worth, 13.5 right now. He's in great shape, and like you were talking about, the split push will become a reality. It is a Force Staff for the Nyx Assassin, not the Dagon we were talking about, but the top tier 1 will fall. So Zephyr get a little gold pick-me-up that will level out the tower count now. 3 apiece. All of the tier 1 towers have gone down.
Yeah, they did pop the Dragon Knight ultimate for that one, so they're going to have to wait a little bit for that to come back off cooldown before they can do too much more. And the Doom actually goes for a Blink Dagger here.
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah, it's a nice pickup. I think I agree with it this game. You can blink in, you can do in the Darkseer. If that happens, then the fight, it just falls apart completely for Zephyr, but he doesn't have a single mana item, so getting all of his spells off is starting. Plus, the mech is starting to look a little bit dicey. And Zephyr, they're going in for Roshan.
And it gets scouted out right away. Ice Blast flies through. Corey, he gets stunned up. Now they find initiation in the mid lane. Sexy Bambo gets the Doom ultimate. He gets chopped down. Jay doing so much damage here. Pops his BKB, goes straight in onto Eosin. That's a gem on the ground, and he's dead meat. This Doom, he's so big. I can't believe how quickly he's chopping people down. The Desolator debuff now on top of all of his damage with the pack leader's aura. It's just insanity for 26 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Mineski even need to back up. I mean, the Darkseer is about to be back online, so the teamfight presence for Zephyr are kind of getting there. Nice little blink dodge coming out of Jay on the Wraithfire Blast. And do Mineski back off? Are they actually afraid? I mean, safe play would be back off, wait until you have the Doom online, and don't risk getting, 5-man vacuumed into a burst like Epicenter, but yeah, I guess they will have to back off. The BKB is on cooldown as well for Jay.
The thing for Mineski here is they have the late game. They have the carry heroes, they have the double Midases up, and there's just no hurry for them. They know that they don't need to force the issue unless, or at least not quite yet. They have plenty of breathing room. Again, Zephyr trying to go back into the Roche Pit, and I kind of like this idea. After a failed attempt, some teams don't really expect you to go right back in for it straight away, but it did get scouted out by the Scarabs. And Zephyr just can't take it down very quickly. Not a lot of minus armor, and they will get repelled. Maybe it was just bait to try and take a team fight. There's the Wraithfire Blast out on the Ancient Apparition. And the Ice as well, taking pretty heavy damage, but a vacuum to the low ground. Big stun coming out. Doom will finish off the Sand King, and this is looking like a disaster for Zephyr. The Dragon Knight will stand his ground, able to chop down the Rubik, but now he is in trouble. Doom ultimate still available, finally throws it out onto Blitz. Doom taking some damage, but he'll survive. This Weaver just doing too much damage. The Desolator cutting them down. That'll proc the Reincarnation. They save the Wraith King for last. The slow rendered completely ineffective. Even procs the Link into the Wraithfire Blast. That's a 1 for 5, a complete team wipe. Mineski will get an easy Roche, and, well, I think it stands to reason they are in good shape to take this game base kip.
Yeah, just Zephyr, they got so little out of the early game that those back-to-back deaths for Bambo on the bottom lane, and then Eosin. When I saw him rotate down towards bot, I thought, okay, this is passable. Eosin's probably going to get a couple of creeps here and there, but just didn't happen. We looked at his CS score, 12 or something minutes in, and he had 5 creeps. That's just not. you can't have that happen on a Sand King.
Look at that team fight. That's just a disaster for Zephyr. So much going the way of Mineski, and yeah, I mean, what can Zephyr do at this point? I feel like they're almost at that insurmountable, or Mineski are at that insurmountable lead. Just about 15,000 gold, 10,000 experience. I feel like it's in the hands of Mineski to throw at this point. Maybe Zephyr can take a big team fight as they turtle up with a Darkseer as well as a Sand King and Jakiro for that matter. 3 heroes very difficult to push into. A lot of magic damage that can come out, so maybe the strength of Zephyr will start to show once Mineski try and break high ground. But at the same time, Mineski are under no pressure to break the high ground, so they can just sit back and farm and get even bigger until they do truly have that insurmountable lead.
Yeah,
Shiva's up on Doom as well.
Yeah, they've got the gem. They can just kind of chill out. They can go and take complete control of the map, farm both jungles, get some more items up on the Doom. And you said, it's kind of Mineski's game to throw, but I kind of get the feeling that Jay at this point is starting to look like he might be able to win 1v5. So it would have to be a pretty monumental throw for Mineski. But you are right, it's very difficult to break the high ground against this Zephyr lineup. There is the potential for some really big AoE teamfight combos that we've kind of seen glimpses of here and there.
I know you're a believer in the macro pyre base.
Yep, I'm a big believer in the macro pyre, big believer in the Jakiro. So yeah. We'll see if Zephyr can maybe pull off some really nice teamfight execution. They do have the BKB over on the Dragon Knight now, so he might be looking a little bit better as far as teamfights are concerned. But okay, Zephyr just going to go for a smoke. They don't have a whole lot of useful vision on the map right now, so they are blindly guessing as to where the heroes are. And the fact that the mid lane tower is not being defended in the slightest is a huge clue for Mineski, and you can see that Oa is pinging out. He's like, they're not defending mid. They're smoke ganking us.
Yeah.
Everybody hug the towers. Look, just nobody poke their nose out right now.
You're exactly right. Mineski are doing that exactly. They hover around that tier 2 mid. They move into the Ancients. The smoke is expired. Now they get vision in the mid lane. Well played by the Radiant side. And they will not concede any untimely deaths.
Yeah, and that just ends up being a little bit of... I think it's right that Zephyr are going for the slightly more desperate plays, but it also shows off just how desperate their position is here. So they group up mid. Maybe they decided, okay, look, screw it. One last team fight. Let's go, guys.
The Mjolnir's been completed on Wraith King, and he's also now level 16, so he'll have that ultimate up in pretty much every team fight, which is good news. 3 minutes left on the Aegis, and Mineski won't waste too much more time. They will do a 4-man smoke in the mid lane. Nyx Assassin, the only one not with him here, but they will rotate on through and now try and give Zephyr a taste of their own medicine. Weaver in the front line, Shikuchiing forward. They may find Blitz, and oh, they may find a courier as well as it flies in. Doom coming forward, blows the ultimate straight away. No Dragon Form for you, Blitz. He'll get destroyed as the Desolator comes through. Purge throws out an Ice Path, but now the Weaver coming forward, connects with the Scarabs. Desolator debuff on. And oh wow, Doom actually hops forward, crits him. Not enough damage to bring him down, but Jay getting those big crits coming out. Hey, can he snipe him? Oh, Purge. Oh, that's a dead Jakiro. And even in the roleplay mode there for added effect. Shout out to Gods on the camera work.
Yeah, God's just trying to find ways to entertain himself, I think, at this point.
Yeah, fair enough. Top tier 2 tower falls, and now Zephyr. They'll have to make a hold of the high ground, but without the Dragon Knight or the Jakiro, that will be a difficult proposition. And Doom doesn't have his ultimate, but very few fears right now, yeah. Weaver is the Aegis carrier, so he will stay in the front line, takes the tower down to about half health, and actually almost takes a stun, but that Linken's coming in handy once again. Glyph available for the Dire, but when do you pop it here? Weaver's just doing a little bit of chip damage here and there, really trying to bait out the Glyph, doing a very good job, not overcommitting for it, but they will play this a little more passively. 5,500 gold on this Weaver. And he just right-clicks a BKB. There you have it.
No, I see no reason not to here. The only way that Zephyr can win this game, the only way that they can do anything is just to take a huge 5-man AoE fight.
Net worth 60k to 37.
Oh boy.
That's huge. That is pretty large. Uh-oh, Sexy Bambo gets initiated upon up in the high ground. Aosin blinks forward. Will buy his friend some time. There's your BKB pops. He'll just press forward. Shivas comes out as well. And Doom ultimate now used on Aosin. He doesn't have the detection, but he'll just blink forward. Wants to chop him down. Vacuum back from Bambo. Actually nicely done. Gives his buddy some time. Ice Blast off the money. Bit of connected. May have been enough for a shatter, but it won't. Doom just creating some space here. His team has finished off that tier 2 tower mid. Trying to survive best he can. Oa coming forward. He will grab Ice Path, but can't keep his good friend alive.
Yeah, so it just ends up being the Doom for the tower there. Little bit weird from Jay. He ended up just running completely away from his team. Some of them have mobility items to be able to keep up the pace, but the definite objective for them there was just to take the tier 2 tower. So we're just gonna have to wait for the Doom, but things still looking pretty good. Tier 3 tower almost dead.
Yeah, we were doing a good job up here. Does pop his time lapse straight away as they initiate upon him. And tower was 75 hit points, well in deny range. They may just leave it standing. Or, nope, they'll deny it straight away. But now these rags will be a pretty easy push. As you mentioned, the Glyph was baited out, so Mineski can just reset here. The Aegis pretty close to expiring, but to be frank, they don't really need it. They can push without it.
Not really. I think they've got more than enough items to make up for
it's already actually
not having
expired already, but Weaver needed the item slot anyhow, so it's okay. He already has another 3,000 gold. And there's your Dagon on the Nyx Assassin, so did find a use for that Null Talisman.
It is. It's definitely Dagon time here for Jesse Vash. We've got Rubik also working towards an Aghanim Scepter of his own. He's getting reasonably close, still needs 2 components. Ancient Apparition just needs another 1k to finish up his Ags. And Zephyr item progression just going pretty slowly. Not a whole lot of map control. They've got a tiny bit of vision, but that's very quickly going to be dealt with by the gem. So they're just playing completely blind right now and taking the little bits of risky farm here and there where they can, but wow, Doom now has an AC as well.
Wow, so he is really tanked up. Doom is one of these fluffy heroes with very low armor and a lot of hit points, so these armor items really up his effective hit points. Now we see this Nyx Assassin cruising around, perhaps looking for a kill on Decory, connects with the Impale. Now Weaver coming in. Ice Path will slow him up. Again, that Lincoln's coming in handy for the Weaver. He is on the retreat, and it looks like he'll be just fine. Jesse Vosh, on the other hand, maybe in a bit of a sticky wicket here. Has already used his Spike Carapace, connects with one on the Impale. A noble effort, but he will pay for his greed as Sexy Bambo joins the party. Or pardon me, Aosin joins the party. Sexy Bambo secures that kill with the Ion Shell.
Okay, that's a bit of a weird decision for Mineski. I know they're ahead. I know that they've probably won this game at this point, but oh, Bambo.
Yeah, he gets Shiva.
Circle.
He gets ulted. Ring around the Rosie. Jay, he can't attack him. It might not be enough, but he well, he still gets the kill, so I guess you can't knock it too hard, but good kiting from the Darkseer. It's pretty funny to see the Doom stutter stepping back and forth, and that was intense.
Okay, but like honestly, Mineski just kind of. I think they should just group up. Use these BKBs.
Siege the towers.
Just siege the towers. Close out the
thing.
game. They chose to go on a Wraith King there, of all heroes, with only 2. I mean, they kind of knew what they were up against. They've got some pretty good vision over in the Dire jungle, but this is just starting to. Mineski not showing the greatest composure in terms of closing out this game.
Yeah.
Which is something that you're going to get punished for against against better teams, against situations where there is more of a chance for the opposing team to make a comeback.
Yeah. Weaver will just finish off that bottom tier 2 tower. Chikiro comes in but does not secure the denied. A relatively long respawn time, or something like 3:45 or so, which, well, doesn't really make a huge difference for Mineski, but they may be waiting for next Roche before they want to make that final death push, or they might just be having some fun and playing with their food before they suck it down the gullet.
Yeah, they got some shiny new toys. Aghanim Scepter completed for the Ancient Apparition. Aghanim Scepter almost completed for the Rubik.
Yeah.
So, things definitely getting there. Like you said, a little while until Roshan's going to be back up. Zephyr, are they close to any new items? I think that's the big question. We do have a plate mail over on the Dragon Knight, Basher for the Wraith King, nothing for the Jakiro, and Darkseer just sitting on an Ultimate Orb right now, so probably just the beginnings of a Hex for him, but nothing that's really contributing too much to the changing team fights at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose Darkseer, one of those heroes, the longer this game goes on, the bigger the Mineski carries get, the better the Wall of Replica is, and with a really well-placed Wall of Vacuum, those illusions could add up and start doing a lot of damage, the Weaver illusion in particular, but still, it's kind of grasping at straws here. It's going to have to be a pretty damn epic wall with a lot of Macro Pyre, Epicenter, all that AoE kind of follow-up. So I think Mineski may be playing this a little too cautiously and maybe a little cocky at this point, one could argue, but to be fair, there is a pretty scary Wombo combo from Zephyr if they're turtle up in the base. Not out of the realm of reason that they could get wiped if all of the ultimates from Zephyr do come out perfectly. Weaver just going straight in here, though. Will just time-lapse back, chipping away at that range rack. Solid 300 damage.
Value auto attack.
Yeah. And let's see, what are the Dire looking at in terms of buybacks here? Darkseer and Wraith King are the only 2 with buybacks available. But not too many buybacks available on the Radiant side either at this particular point in the game. Wow, Weaver with 6,000 gold ready to rock and roll. Looks like a team fight could be brewing up top. And that's right, Mineski will start it off. Doom out on Blitz. No Elder Dragon form for you. Purge just gets chopped down by the Desolator from the Weaver. Macro Pyre comes out, but it's just not enough. Everybody on Mineski basically at full health. BKB popped by the Wraith King. He'll fall, he'll come back up, but just look how quickly he dies. Rubik even steals the Epicenter. Oh my Lanta. It's a 4-0. Sexy Bambo on the run. He'll make it back to the well, but I think this one might be over. Base Kip, Wraithfire Blast comes out onto Jay. But of course, the follow-up won't be there. The Glyph comes out, nothing even hitting the structures. Well, that's okay.
There's not even any creeps in the base.
Yeah, I don't know what that Glyph was all about, but yeah, it just really seems like a matter of time. There's your wall, there's your vacuum. This is the final stand for Zephyr. It's a 2 versus 5. The Darkseer and Wraith King versus the world. Sand King's back up, but he has no Epicenter. Bambo dies as he runs back into his own wall, and Corey playing Ring Around the Rosie, but at the end of the day, it's just not enough. Support's respawning now. Buyback from the Darkseer. Maybe Base Kip, maybe they can hold. They've lost their range creeps, but no, not looking so hot. Nyx Assassin will fall. Macro Pyre comes out onto the Weaver, but he just runs through it. He really doesn't seem to care too much. He'll truck through the Jakiro. And now the BKB Doom going hard onto Aosin. He'll burrow strike back to safety. Bambo coming in, actually chipping away at this Ancient Apparition. Throws an Ice Blast. But he can't even bring down the Ancient Apparition. Blitz coming through, and nowhere for him to go. He's just kiting around the statue. What is this game?
Go, Geo, go.
So much running around, but yeah, sorry, pal. He will get finished off. That's a dominating streak ended going for Blitz. Kind of greedy from Mineski. They get the racks, but they do pay with quite a few of their heroes. Still 8,000 gold on the Weaver. I'm even hard-pressed to call that a hold from Zephyr. That was just a respawn. We got a couple of recovery kills, but something like a 25,000 gold lead, I think, or so for Mineski. It's pretty staggering. Just casual BKB on the ground, you know. What are you going to do?
You know,
That's
why not?
rough.
You need a new BKB. You can't really do anything with the old one. I mean, you could carry it around as a memento. I guess it's got more stats.
But,
No, not necessarily more stats than the Midas. So
I mean, there's nothing else you
There
can
you
do with the BKB. Can't sell it back, so you might as well just sacrifice it to the Ancients, I suppose.
as a tribute.
Yeah, not a bad way to go about it. And Rubik, well on his way to his Ag Scepter. I guess Zephyr are holding on, but
I mean, I can appreciate the argument that Zephyr are
bye hero.
Bye Purge. That Zephyr are holding on just to try and get a little bit more practice down in coordinating their team fight and coordinating the Sand King and the Darkseer, but realistically at this point, this game is just not winnable. I mean, maybe the team mentality, maybe the general team philosophy is that, look, we don't GG out until
100%
or
over.
like 2 lanes of racks. Some
Yeah.
teams say 2 lanes of racks. Some teams say when all 5 players agree. You know, everybody has different metrics.
Well,
But
there's a
right
lot
now,
on
I
the
don't
line
know.
here in TI4
There is.
qualifiers, so you can definitely make a case for hanging in there until the bitter end. And to be fair, it's not completely over for Zephyr. 1 lane of racks is still holdable, but yeah, it feels disingenuous to really hype up Zephyr's chances of turning this one around. Mineski just have complete control of the map. They've had those 2 hands of Midases just kicking around, bringing in the money. Since the 5-minute mark, really. 5-minute Midas on Weaver. Yeah, you're not going to be having fun 45 minutes in if that's the case.
Yeah, I just
Sanj and Yasha on Doom.
yeah.
45 minutes Sanj and Yasha. You know, why not?
Okay, so I guess that's replacing the Midas. Yep.
I
okay.
guess so, yeah.
So there you go. Meanwhile, Weaver just soloing Roshan with his Heart of Taras. Zephyr gonna try and stop him. Meanwhile, Jesse Vash is doing something top lane. I don't quite know what the plan is over there, but
I'm just looking for stragglers, looking for pick off. You know, if he finds a Jakiro, it is free kill with the dash on. So
well, they know Blitz TP'd. If they spot a new one, they could just go for it, or they can just go for Blitz. Apparently,
I don't know. Does he have the damage to bring him down with an Ice Blast? He very well may, but no, Blitz.
there's a
is back.
Sentry Ward here as well.
Oh yeah, good call. So Nyx Assassin will survive. Rotation coming in, but he blinks back to safety. Roche is up. Mineski move into the pit now. Jay will just tank it up, and he might be able to just bring it down himself, but they'll rotate forward and should be able to secure Roche pretty easily. Rubik did also complete his Ag Scepter, so if he can manage to steal Macro Pyro, we may see that flamethrower sniper rifle before this game ends. Could be a fun.
Yeah, I
We know
want.
Jakiro's not getting an Ags anytime soon.
Yeah, I want to see a stolen Macro Power. I think that would be
that'd
that could be
fun.
pretty cool.
It's not too often you get to see Ags on Rubik either. So, interesting.
It's definitely such a win more item this game.
Yes,
like this
for
is not a pickup that is changing Mineski from losing fights to winning fights. They're winning fights pretty handedly at this point. And well, they're taking things a little bit slow. They pick up the Aegis, but this should really be the GG push for them. And yeah, they're finally grouping up bottom lane.
Yeah, there's an Assault Kuras up on the Dragon Knight, but not the biggest of item pickups here at this point. Not bad, but might not be enough to turn this game around. Doom pops his Shivas, thinking there may be somebody hiding around in the trees, but nope, just a casual Shiva's usage.
The Darkseer does have level 3 wall, so the Doom's got a lot of stats and a lot of auras. If they can get his illusion, then might be able to get some work done, but again, just needs to be perfect from Zephyr. They've got the 2 big teamfight heroes just waiting over in the trees, Blink Daggers ready, and the call has to come out soon.
And now that Mineski have taken that top tower, they have creep shoving into the base, so there's your Macro Pyro coming out. We'll hold that thought as Weaver takes some damage. Glyph is available for the Dire side. They haven't popped it quite yet. And now Doom just hops straight forward. BKB Shiva's ultimate out on the Darkseer, an ideal target to take down. No wall replica. He will fall to the Wrath of Time. No buyback available for him, and he will stay dead. Jakiro will fall shortly after. Aegis does get popped as Weaver gets taken down, but now he's back. BKB ready, and he's going hard. Elder Dragon form popped by Blitz, but he gets taken down. Aosin with a pretty big epicenter, but he gets taken out as well. It gets stolen by the, or Burrow Strike gets stolen by the Rubik, and it's a team wipe for Zephyr. A 5-4-4. Wraith King, the only one alive. Glyph comes out, and this will be another lane of racks, at the very least.
Yeah, it was a little bit unfortunate for Zephyr. The Swarm actually ended up scouting out the Sand King. He got a Vortex dropped at him, so they knew exactly where he was, and then as the Doom jumped in with the Shivas, managed to spot out the Darkseer. Zephyr could not get that one perfect team fight that they've been looking for all game.
Buyback on the Darkseer. He'll actually TP outside of the base, looking to wrap around perhaps. Nope, just hanging out on the low ground here. There you go, he'll blink up. There's your wall, vacuum. And they do secure a kill onto the Rubik, but Wraith King falls. Buybacks coming out aplenty on both sides of the coin. Purge gets dropped. This Weaver just running amok. Aosin connects with another Burrow Strike, but yeah, he's just going to get right-click down. They've got the vision. Bambo. Okay. Kill time lapse back. Triple kill coming out for Vosh as well. This is the final hold for Zephyr. They're out of buybacks. Corey taking a lot of damage. We'll move into the, or pardon me, Bambo taking a lot of damage. Moves into the trees. He still falls. Ancient Apparition completely isolated. Corey trying to bring him down. He will fall. Just a casual gem on the ground, but the Wraith King gets picked off. The GGs come out. Finally, Zephyr tap out. Mineski take a very convincing win over Zephyr.
So Mega Creeps turned out to be the breaking point.
Yeah.
For Zephyr there. I don't know, it was, things just fell apart so hard in the early game for Zephyr. The Sand King and the Darkseer took such a long time to come online that, and, I mean, they had the mech in reasonable time, but the Dragon Knight was the only one who was able to start a fight. So when we looked at the lineup during the draft, we were thinking Dragon Knight, Wraith King, and Sand King all going to be ready to set things up. It just didn't work out that way. So Mineski, Double Midas paid off easily and take the game pretty handedly.
Yeah, absolutely. We were a little bit worried that the Double Midas might extend that window for Zephyr to really deathball in the mid game, but it seemed like the Darkseer losing that bottom lane so hard really sent them into disarray. Sand King had a delayed blink because of it, and then their deathball basically never happened.
Yeah, what happened, Ben? What would you say?
I'd say two things really went wrong from them. Firstly is Darkseer in offlane. He needs a pretty good matchup, especially on Dire. So I think that if we're a Radiant, it'd be a different game, but since he's on Dire, he just fed way too hard at the start. And then secondly, Wraith King as a carry is just extremely weak. He needs damage, he needs mobility, and he needs survivability. That's just way too many items to build. And yeah, sure, he's like kind of immune to Doom, but at the same time, he has like Icy Vortex. You know, he can't move around.
He wasn't doing damage end of the day. It didn't matter whether he was doomed or not.
Yes.
Well,
He never got doomed either.
Yeah, he never got doomed, and he can't walk up. And it's been theory crafted, oh, that's a perfect counter to Doom, but it's actually not, especially considering like he just couldn't move around in fights. They would just ignore him for the most part.
Yeah. So you think a Blink Dagger was the necessary tool?
No, I think they needed a different hero for him.
Just a straight up different hero?
Yeah, when I saw the Sand King and the Skeleton King first two picks, I immediately thought they were supports. And it's not the strongest two supports in the fact that they're both melee and they're both not great at zoning, but at least they bring decent amount to the table, way more than Wraith King, as the carry. Like he literally couldn't do anything, and Corey is just so important to the team. Where if he can't do damage, no one really picks up the slack.
I think they did have the potential to snowball with their lineup, but I think Blitz spent too much time mid farming. He never left the lane. Like I think most DKs you watch will get level 6 and go to the lane with the carry and push down the T1 tower. That T1 tower 20 minutes in the game at top lane wasn't pushed, and that's because Blitz didn't leave his mid lane. He just stayed mid until he had a Shadow Blade, and even when he had the Shadow Blade, like he never really got any kills or did much with it.
Yes, it was too late.
Yeah, and I think the better way to play that is like as soon as you get 6, you can get the T1 tower top. Then every time you have your ulti up, you can push down a tower with the Wraith King, because I think Wraith King was never going to out carry the Weaver that game. But they could fight early. I mean, especially when Mineski go Double Midas.
Yeah, they had terrible anti-push, and they had terrible anti-push items. So they didn't take advantage of the window that was presented. And a lot of it was just their early game was so bad that their window was just, I don't even know if it was there.
Their early game could have gone worse, though, like because they crushed the Darkseer, and then they spent like a long time trying to gank mid, which kind of failed, and then the Rubik got picked off by the DK. Like, it could have been a whole lot worse. Like, if they'd actually successfully ganked DK mid as well, that game would have been over twice as fast.
I don't even think it was a draft issue at the end of the day, though. Maybe a little bit, but
Bambo didn't play great in the offlane, obviously getting picked off a few times.
So given Darkseer, given that draft and Darkseer was their offlane hero on Dire, what do you think they should have done differently? Pull him into the jungle straight away, like after that first death, perhaps, or what do you?
AA Rubik Weaver is a really difficult tri-lane to deal with. It's triple range. They have Chilling Touch. They have Geminate Attack too. It's just way too much damage for a Darkseer to handle.
Yeah.
Right.
So he either just had to like pull some shenanigans and stay in the trees, just get experience, or just stack and pull at the start. There's not really that much else you can do. And but what they really need to do is, as you said, they force a T1 on top so the supports rotate, and then if it's just a Weaver versus Darkseer, that's easy.
Yeah, very true. I don't know if there's too much else to say about that game. It was just pretty one-sided at the end of the day for Mineski.
They're good one game and bad the next.
Yeah.
Mistrust lost the game before. Now they won.
They crushed Execration, then lost the first departure.
It's really strange.
This is just going to be like a roller coaster ride for every single team. The only team I think who might be consistent is Arrow Gaming right now.
Yeah.
They're looking like one of the better teams. We've got standings apparently.
Oh.
Arrow Gaming, as I said it, they're 3-0. Orange 2-0. I think Orange are also another team who can potentially be pretty consistent. I think if Orange get in a roll, I think right now Orange and Arrow look like two favorites potentially. Scythe Gaming. We're only saying Scythe look bad, I think, because of their one really bad loss.
It was really bad.
Yes.
Though.
But if that's the only bad game they have in the tournament, then they're okay.
And
maybe it's Zephyr's only bad.
Yeah.
Their only bad game in the tournament.
Well, their first game they won was pretty bad, I'd say. Like, look, they won a game, but it wasn't pretty. Myth and Execration both 0-2. So.
Yeah, but we have to remember: is it Execration?
Myth won a game, didn't they?
Yeah. That's what
Sorry. I don't know.
Someone said they won again.
I thought they won.
No, they lost to Orange apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, they
so
lost to Orange.
Okay,
They lost
never mind. JK.
Execration, their 2 losses. I think you're about to say.
Yeah, I think it's against Arrow as well as against Scythe.
Yes.
So they've played the 2 hardest teams so far. So they're 0-2. You really don't want to read too much into. They can
Agreed.
still bring it back.
We had the same thing with the American qualifier. You look at a team like earlier and be like, oh, they're not doing too well, or end of day 1, top 5 was like 4 wins and 1 loss, but really they hadn't versus any of the good teams. So.
Yeah, exactly. So at day 1, you always have to take those standings with a grain of salt. But guys, we forgot before that game started because of the draft. I need to live up to the over/under from the first game I casted with Merlini. Here we go. Yes,
what about
post game.
Do you guys have a bet for that game?
No, we did not have an over/under in that one. But
you bet Zephyr, you bet Mineski, so I think you lose another one.
Double up on those shots of Monster.
Yes, the shots of Monster here. But the over/under was the 13 minutes on the Blink Dagger Sand King in game 1, and he got it around 13:30. So Merlini, you won by just a pinch, won by a hair, but.
Hooray!
There you go.
To Dota.
No reneggers.
No reneggers indeed. Well, on that note, our next game is going to be Scythe versus Mineski. So both teams seeing 1-1 in the standings. Pretty important match. Scythe's going to be looking to get on a bit of a roll. As for Mineski, if they can get a win off Scythe.
Who do you think's going to win?
See, look, I was actually like, when I said Mineski against, well, you said Mineski for me against Zephyr. Like, I was like, yeah, I would have said Mineski. Here, I think Scythe 60-40 favorites. But I would say, if you ask me, like,
what are actual odds?
I don't know.
Probably I would say probably 68% maybe on Dota 2 Lounge. I don't know.
68. Oddly specific.
I don't know. Dota 2 Lounge isn't big on the Pinoy teams.
67-33.
67-33.
Look at this guy.
Dude, he knows a C Dota, man.
He does.
Yeah.
Well, I
don't
also
question.
know Dota 2 Lounge. They don't have any faith in Mineski. Not like me. I think if I got those odds, I'd bet Mineski.
That's the value bet right there?
I think so.
Okay.
Especially considering Scythe's last game.
Yeah.
Well, it's just so hard to tell. Like,
Mineski,
how
they
do you
played really well. They could have ended faster, but I think they played really well.
how do you map out who beats who in SCA? It's
You
like
don't.
this team. It's a spider web. It's a really messed up spider web.
Arrow Gaming, their manager got interviewed before the tournament, and he's like, "Oh, it was like, which team do you like not want to verse?" And he's like, "Execration. We always lose to them." It's like, we're fine versus Scythe, Orange, no problem.
Polar opposites on the bracket.
And it's
right
like,
now.
we don't want to verse Execration. Like, we'll lose to those. I'm just like,
Well, there you go.
doesn't make any sense. I don't know. But we're going to have LD joining us in the studio momentarily. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, TI4 Qualifiers presented by Monster Energy will continue. I'm Gods, he's Merlini, and your casts for this game, Zairi and Baseskip. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you all soon.